Welcome to the Rebuilding Futures podcast. I'm your co-host, Kenneth Young. I am joined today by your other co-hosts, Chris Shankle, Elrich Travillion, and Aaron Charles. In today's episode, we'll be exploring the challenges of rebuilding and maintaining relationships after incarceration. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Good afternoon, Ken, Shank,
Hey.
Aaron.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing today?
All right.
Okay, since everybody is good, to kick things off, could y'all share with our listeners some personal experiences of stories and how you navigated the challenges of rebuilding relationships after incarceration? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Elrich.
No, I want Aaron.
You first. Go first. They look.
Come on now. We're looking at you first. Go ahead.
Hey, well, I'm known to hit a home run. Well, okay. My first experience of coming home from an incarceration was my biggest fear was my kids. I wanted to come home and rebond with my kids and the family. So the first thing I did was reach out to them and let them know that I was home. And then I started building from there. And the thing that I had to do was first establish myself somewhere because I really didn't have a place of my own when I came home. And once I established that, I knew the promise that I had made to myself and God was to build my family and to raise my kids. And that was my biggest fear and my biggest accomplishment. Now, when I say accomplishment, my kids may agree or may disagree, you know what I'm saying? But they here, they doing well, so I feel that they listen. I'm still in their life. I'm still here for them, and we've been going through life.
Okay, Chris.
Well, that's a tricky question, Ken, because what we dealing with is relationships after incarceration, and a lot of people think that the relationship will be based on the mate that you had that you came home to, or whatever the case may be, but it's far more loaded than that. The relationship building process with me was not really difficult because my kids and I have a good relationship. The difficult part was making my kids understand the reason why things were the way they were. I'm one to not talk about my, past relationships or their mothers in a negative way. And a lot of it, the reason why my kids, and this is going to sound crazy, y'all, all of my kids did not meet each other until my father passed.
Wow.
And at the passing of my father, that's when they all came together to meet. Mm-hmm. Now, that was no power of mine, but it was more so their mothers didn't want for them to interact. And, my oldest daughter, Raven, she was the one that knew everything. Raven, she's the oldest. She was well-rounded, very smart young child. Even as a child, Raven was just a brilliant little girl. So I shared a lot of things with Raven that her siblings did not know.
Yeah.
And so if anything was to ever happen to me, Raven was the one to say, oh, by the way, my sister lives over here. My brother lives over here.
Yeah.
And
I feel that.
In this way and that, know. And so then it's time. A lot of people think that, I have to catch up. And anyone that has been incarcerated, trying to catch up is the worst thing that you can do. What you do is you just blend from wherever you are at that time. You can't think about where you were when you left. You only have to understand where you are at the moment, and you start the life from that point on. Then you start understanding. You don't walk in with a million suggestions or a million different ways of criticizing or a million different advice, because that advice that you knew at the time of your absence or you thought you knew why you were being absent is not it. So many things change in people's lives, social media, that we as older people, we can't understand. We didn't have TikTok or Facebook or anything like that. I think the primary social media contact for us when we were growing up, y'all, was MySpace, wasn't it?
It wasn't even MySpace.
Something like that. You know what I'm saying? MySpace. You know that. So
it wasn't even MySpace.
Yeah, we can remember Windows 90. Windows 95. You know. You know.
Before that, it was the corner. Everybody went to the corner.
We went to the corner or the car wash. Yeah. You know, and we went to the car wash and we had a one-on-one experience with everyone.
Or that corner store.
Oh yeah, corner store, anything. But we had a one-on-one experience with everyone. Well, building my relationship with my kids, I literally just went and picked them up. Mm-hmm. And I talked to them. I didn't go in with the idea that I knew all the answers. I would pick my kids up and say, man, what's going on? And I would talk to them in a manner that they could understand.
A social relationship.
Exactly. I listened to the same type of music that they listen to because that's just who I am. Mm-hmm. Okay, it wasn't that I was trying to blend in with them. I like certain type of music, and I would listen to that music. And you have to understand, I was only gone 2 years, but the effect of being gone, my daughter Danielle wrote me a letter, and I still have it to this day. And she put into the letter, "Daddy, I miss you so much that it hurts." Mm-hmm. And she was a baby to me. You know, she was a baby, and when I read that letter, I made it up in my mind that I would never make my daughter feel like that again. Yeah. So I knew I had to change. So the relationship that I have with my kids now, I feel is awesome. Absolutely.
Okay.
I hope I answered that for you.
You did.
What you got?
Yeah, so I mean, just coming home and establishing personal relationships, whether it's with family or someone else, you know, just like a really good friend, it took a lot. You know, it took a lot. Some relationships came really easy, but what I found is that some of the relationships that came together easier don't have as much value to me now that I'm on the other side of what just coming home looks like, right? Some people that didn't really have a lot going on had no major things that they were working towards or pressing towards. They were readily available. But the people who hold value to me right now were not so available because they had a lot of things going on. And so part of the transition for me was understanding that, hey, when you come home, it's a massive event to you, and it's just an event to people that have already been out here and have no concept of what being away is all about. So I had to swallow that, right? There was a pride factor. There was a little bit of emotion tied to that because I thought that with all of the positive self-development that I'd gone through, the restructuring of my person, when I come home, that there's going to be a continued, like a perpetual celebration of who I am, right? I came home to be a champion and a champion my people as well, but it wasn't like that. And I had to humble myself and realize that if I want a relationship and that relationship has value to me, whether or not a person is ready to reciprocate that, I still have to just continue to pour into it. And so there's different situations. I have my children, I have my parents, I have my brother who's my only sibling. Each one of those relationships is different and took a different level of care. So when I consider my son, that was a certain level of care, my daughter, my brother, and then also, man, looking at the relationship that these people had with each other in my absence was something that I had to learn how to navigate. And it came from just being humble, getting alone, being by myself, like I had spoken to you guys about in other episodes, where I wake up in the morning, I center myself, I'm in the mirror, I talk to myself, because these were some of the things that I had to talk about, right? Let's take some specifics in mind. So when I came home, I told you guys that I had gotten down on my knees and I basically like proposed to my daughter, not in a crazy way, but just like proposed that we have a rock solid relationship and that we could bring that thing together together, at any cost to me, and hopefully it didn't cost her a lot. But what I didn't realize is there was a lot of emotional baggage tied to our relationship. Like when I left, opposite of the relationship that I had with my son, I was with my daughter every single day. I raised her. There was a moment in time where her mother and I weren't getting along, and you always expect the child to go with the mother, and we were just trying to figure out how we could take care of her because we never really put her off on anybody else. And so we met up at a gas station, and we both tried to be adults in the situation and gave my daughter an opportunity to choose who she wanted to go with. Man, I'm gonna tell you this. For the first time ever, period, point blank, that little girl picked me. Man, you know what that did to me, man. You know what that did to me when that girl picked me?
Oh, yeah.
So she picked me, but when I had gone away, the biggest impact of emotional downfall was rested on her.
Yeah.
Because she counted on me.
Exactly.
She counted on me. So when I came home and I was on my knees begging her for a relationship, she wasn't ready to give it to me.
Yeah.
Right? So how did I repair that? Man, day by day.
Yeah.
Day by day.
Yeah.
Right? So I repaired that by not becoming overly resentful. I'm not going to say that I didn't get resentful. I'm going to be honest about the situation, right? Because I'm begging and I'm trying and I'm pleading and I'm investing, and I was getting no major return on my investment because of what absence does to people.
Right.
And so I stayed consistent for as long as I possibly could. And then I talked to a mother one day and I said, listen, man, I think just for my own personal mental health, right? Just for my own personal well-being, I'm at a point, right? Like I've given everything that I could possibly give at this point that I think is going to keep me on this side of sanity. I just think that I'm at a place. I don't think I can do this anymore, right? So she told me I'm not her father, right? She had a stepdad growing up, right? Because I was gone for 11 years. And then she also had the benefit of my son's stepfather, 2 different women. So he was around and available and stuff like that. And she said, I got 2 dads. I don't need a third.
Wow. And this your biological child saying this?
Yeah, she's dead. So, that was tough. But I took it on the chin, and, I had persisted beyond that point, but I just reached my breaking point. God always has a way of working things out for you. Like he'll allow you to get to your lowest so that you can see yourself for what you are, and then make sure that you rely on him to build you up, right? And so when I got into that point, and not long after I'd had that conversation with her mother, she called me. And no, not on this. She didn't. She call? Yeah, she called me on this one, and she let me know that she was pregnant, right? Mm-hmm. So she was pregnant, and she said, listen, this is the deal. What I don't want is for my son to grow up and not have a relationship with his grandfather.
Hey, now.
Right?
Come on.
So if I tell you that I fixed that relationship, it would be true and not true at the same time. The persistence, the consistency, staying in there and staying in that fight for as long as I possibly could, I did all those things. But it also took maturity on the part of a person who had no real reason to forgive me other than releasing themselves for the stress and pressure that comes along with resentment.
I agree.
Right? And so that was a relationship that, that was tough to rebuild. But then, my son, on the other hand, who's the firstborn, the first seed that ever came from me, that relationship was completely different. Right? I got the direct benefit of having him in my life as much as I want to right now. But when he was a child, things were different.
Yeah.
I didn't have the benefit of just being able to go pick him up whenever I chose to, do what I want to do. And when I went away, to him, it was probably no major loss, nothing greater than what had already been going on, because what's the difference between don't have and don't have?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's no major difference between don't have and don't have. So when I came home, I begged him the same, appealed to him the same. And, he made some commitments to me that he was ready, right? He was done doing the things that he wanted to do, and he wanted to do something different. That's all I wanted to show him. But he wasn't ready, right? I told people I was ready to do things that I wasn't really ready to do before, right? He wasn't ready. So when he finally got to a place where he was ready, he came to live with me. And when he came to live with me, man, it was like having a complete stranger in the house, but somebody that at the same time. I don't know how you gauge that. right? So he came to the house, and we just did all we could to try to rebuild that relationship. And it took a long time. There was a lot of setbacks. And, you know, I was explaining to you guys earlier when we were off air, off the mic, that there was a delicate balance between, you know, trying to extend kindness because I wanted to keep him, you know, within my care, and then also show him the things that it takes in order to be a man, like fortify a young person in this life, because life isn't easy and everything that's tough is waiting on the other side of the threshold of our door.
Right.
It's a delicate balance, man. So, you know, we all have responsibilities and we can laugh about it now. What's up?
I'm glad. I was
going to say before you got too far, because that kind of leads into my next question.
What's up?
So you were going, out of everyone in the group, you were going the longest, right?
Yeah, I was going. Yes, sir.
11 years.
But what advice would you have for, because not just returning citizens, you have fathers who have been gone 11 years.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them to address and repair the harm caused to the loved ones during their incarceration, or just them being gone, not knowing, just disappeared for 11 years and they now would like to get back into their children's lives?
Okay. So, you know, how can you repair harm done on such a deep level? I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can repair the harm, right?
You can't.
Because when you think about it, as a grown man, I'll speak for myself. Everybody's a little different, right? But I've got things inside of me that when I stand up as a man, I'm expected to never show to a room. But that doesn't mean that they're not inside of me, shaping my decisions and, you know, shaping how I feel when I'm in my alone time, right? I'm a grown man. People say, oh, you know, you're an adult now. So, you know, whatever happened to you as a child, you shouldn't use that as an excuse. Okay, so I don't use it as an excuse, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't affect me. I don't think that I can repair the things that have been done to my children when they didn't get taught to drive by me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't think I can repair that. I can't go back and pick him up off the ground or pick my daughter up off the ground because they scraped their knee because they fell on their bike or something like that. I can't go back and do that. All I can do at this point is be there for them in all the ways that they need me to be there for them right now.
Right now.
Right? Because there's a right now person in each one of us that needs something that this world has to offer. There's a right now person that needs to be addressed. I can't go back and change what happened when we were all children.
Right.
And so because I feel, that's my philosophy, that's how I feel. And because I can't go back and undo the things that have already been done, I need to focus on what's important right now.
I agree. Now,
Chris, you want to say something too?
Yeah. I wanted to say that the damage is done. And once the damage is done...
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, now, Scoop, were you about to say something?
Yes. What I'm saying is, like he said, you can't go back and repair it. The damage is done. So what you have to do then is build from that point, or the point that you come in.
Oh, that's an Android. What phone is that?
Yeah, that's mine. But yeah,
Samsung. Hell, let's go
and
right now. No Cricket Wireless, man. Pay your bill, man. What's going on right now?
Man,
it's a monthly reminder right there.
I got okay, I got a unique ring, bro.
I got a nice bike, boy. Pay your phone bill, boy. Let's go, boy.
I set myself aside from other rings, man. Yeah. You can't go find that ring, man.
Okay.
Ain't lying.
But yeah.
Here's what you talk about it.
But yeah, what I'm saying about the relationship, man, when you come home, man, like Chris was saying earlier, you can't catch up. You got to catch in. And the damage has been done. You can't, I'm not going to say you can't repair the damage. And like you were saying, you done fell on you wasn't able to teach them how to drive. You wasn't able to pick them up when they fell on their bike. But you there now.
Yeah.
See, the time is in the presence, is now. What you're doing now. Not what I've done in the past, is what I'm doing now. So, and what you're doing now is time.
Yeah.
And you available. You giving you. I will say, me and my daughter had a conversation, and I guess it's with the girls, because like you said, your daughter was kind of in her way until she had her baby. My daughter was 10 years old when I got locked up, and I felt we had a good relationship. You know what I'm saying? I was that daddy that, you know, picked her up and played with her. You know, we laughed and joked. And she told me one time, she said, "Daddy, you left me." She said, "Daddy, you left me. It hurt me." You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if she ever got over that to this day, but it's nothing really more I could do but just be me. I can't really speak on it and say anything. I just, at this point, she have to come to an understanding that I didn't go away on purpose. I committed a crime. I had to go do my time. And I think when I came home, she was just in a place where my dad left me, and she saw all the other kids with their dad, and I guess we didn't get that time, like you're saying. At 10 years old, you know what I'm saying, she was at a place, and then that 12 and 13-year-old, when she was becoming a woman, I wasn't there. You get what I'm saying? And so she may have a situation with me there that I don't know, but only thing I could do is be me. So what I'm saying to a person that's been gone 20, 30 years is that you can only come home and be you. You don't want to be nothing and do no more than what you can do and what you're able to offer. So you don't want to come home and say, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But that's going to put you in a worse situation, because now you can't produce. Just be a person of your word and do what you could do. Chris?
Okay, and Chris, you spoke of communication earlier. What role can communication play in rebuilding relationships after incarceration?
What role can it play?
Yeah, you were speaking about your communication, how you had to work on your communication.
Communication is the valuable, it's the most important key to rebuilding or trying to repair anything in a relationship or whatever. But it's tricky because you have to know how to communicate with, let's say, for instance, if you were like Aaron, he was gone for 11 years. It's almost like the way that he would communicate would be the way that he did 11 years ago. Technically, that would be a mistake, you know, because his children are 11 years older. So now you left and they were 11, you come back, they're 22.
Right.
So they've experienced the entire time that you showed with them. That duplicate time is gone. 11 to 11. You know what I'm saying? So, and the crazy part is they would have more time of remembering why you were gone than they would while you were present.
Right.
Because the first 4 years of their life, they can't recall all of that,
right.
Of course.
Right.
So when you're communicating with them, I had to sit down, and every single person that I was dealing with, I had to relearn who they became.
Right.
And I had to be humble. I had, instead of me going in with so much suggestions and trying to remember who they were, I tried to understand who they are. And that's where the communication was the total key. It was more so, let me sit down. If I gave the state X amount of years to sit down, I think it's fair that I give my family and friends the same amount of time, or even more so, sit down and understand who they are.
So how old were y'all when y'all went away, when y'all came home?
Which is Chris, I actually turned 30 in the penitentiary.
Okay.
When I went in, I was 29. Well, actually, I was 28. When I came out, I was 30. Okay. And it was crazy because I didn't do the full 2. So what happened, I went in June. So then June of the next year, I'm, getting ready to come out December, right? I turned 30. Right after that, I came home. So it was crazy because my situation is weird, and I'm going to share something with you guys. Prior to my incarceration, I had only 2 children.
Okay.
I had 2 daughters. And after incarceration, I had 2 more children. So I actually have 2 children that never experienced my absence.
They weren't under one, were they?
Excuse me?
They wasn't under one, whether.
What do you mean?
I saw a
kids.
video where this guy went away and he had kids when he came back, but they were younger than the time he was in jail. So I was just making sure that those were your kids. I'm just trying to cover you, cuz.
Man, let me tell you something. Okay, let me tell you something. This here.
You say what?
Yeah.
They clocking in and out where you was at, or what's the story?
No, my man.
Unpack that thing.
Let me tell you, this is no joke. I had a son, and ironically enough, and this is no lie, y'all. This is the honest to God truth, and I feel bad about saying it now, but we taking the veils off. You know,
we here.
And so his mother was actually pregnant 1 week before I was incarcerated. So when I came home, he's a little boy, you know, and I'm looking at him and the times are not matching up. You know, I'm like,
So you thinking.
Yeah, you say you was, you know, and then it take not, you know. So when two people say, Chris, how many kids you have? I said 2 and a possible. Like we paying spades.
Right.
I had 2 and a possible. He
not
looked
sure.
just like me.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you look at him and it's like, but you have to think in your mind now, this time, you know, and it's
hard.
It's so crazy because his mother, when she was around me, people used to think she was my sister. We kind of look alike, and our birthdays are on the same date.
Wow.
He negotiating right now.
Yeah,
So you saying, I don't want to hear that. So you saying that you and the girl look alike. So because the boy look like
Man,
you,
I would say 2 and a
I
possible.
told you he negotiating right now.
2 and a possible.
You're wrong for
then,
that, Shank.
And then the attorney general came in and said 99.99.
You better get with it.
Well, all you had to do was bring him around up. Yeah, that's yours.
Yeah, well, I mean, you did say that.
Take him to mama. Take him to mama. Mama gonna yeah, that's yours.
Yeah. But you don't want to believe that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you
As a young man.
trust me.
As a young
man.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, I was 30. I
Okay.
still didn't want to believe it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
And
All
the
right.
killing part, though, is looking at him. And I played the safe zone, Aaron. Now, let me tell you what I did. From the time I came home, I took care of him, period.
Okay. All right.
Okay? Because I didn't want to have it on my conscience that I would be the type of person to turn my back on my own kids. That just was not going to happen. So from the time that I touched the ground, I was there. We shared life together. This boy gave me the chicken pox. I'm sitting there holding him. I'm looking at him like he's lumped up. Next thing you know, his mama looked at me and said, Chris, I say, what? You just had a bump pop up on your head. I'm like, what? I'm looking at him, you know, my son then gave me chicken pox. We running around here, and I tell him all the time, you know, when he was a little boy, I put him in the car, and it was so crazy because the first thing he do, I had a Cadillac with a what they call a blow-through, which is the box had a port that came through the back seat. And you could shut it off. And so he would climb in the car, and the first thing he would do is put his seatbelt on and then open the port for the wolf to come on.
Yeah.
And then
Armrest.
then he'll look at me and say, cut it on, Daddy. You know, and so, you know, I look at him, turn around, I say, Zion. He say, yeah, Dad. I say, we make Texas look good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? He look at me and he'll say it to this day. He said, Daddy. I say, yeah, we make Texas look good.
Yes, sir.
You know.
School. How old were you when you went in?
I think I was 25, bro. I went in, my daughter was 10. I came out, I did 2 years. And when I came out, it was hard. It was hard. Like I said, it was hard. I came home with my I had 3 kids when I came home. So.
Man, can I ask one of y'all one quick question?
Yeah, what's up?
When I was incarcerated, right, and I'm sure that every one of y'all gonna share this with me. Each one of us have a daughter, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you know what my prayer was most of the nights that I was incarcerated?
What?
That when I come home, I didn't catch a life sentence.
Yeah.
Because if I had came home and there was any ill will done to my children,
Of course.
that would just be unbearable for me.
Of course.
So I have to thank their mothers. They protected them. I commend them. I say that God gave me a blessing because he didn't put that on me.
Right. You know, it's not a lot of that going around, to be real with you. Right. People come home and they have opinions about how their children were raised and cared for, and, you know, absentee fathers of, you know, it doesn't even have to be incarceration. You know, they come back around and look at their kids and make all type of judgments on the people that were raising their child. Man, you know, I'm gonna just echo everything you just said, man. I'm thankful. I'm eternally thankful for everything that my son's mother did, everything that my daughter's mother did, because it doesn't matter if they were perfect or if they were broken. They did a great job at taking care of these kids.
Absolutely.
Right? Did everything they could.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna step in. I'm gonna say that me, man, I was blessed. Not only did I have her mother was taking, and she done a great job, and she's still doing a great job. I had my grandmother, I had my great grandmother, and I had my mother, and I didn't have those thoughts because my daughter was surrounded by, and she had her mother's grandmother. So my daughter had the best of both worlds, I would say, because she had beautiful older and younger women in her corner.
Yeah.
So a lot of things I didn't really worry about for her. The only thing I really worried about was when my daughter became a woman, when her body started to change. That was my fear. But at that point in time, I had to make it home. And then that's when I started having those thoughts. Am I going to catch a case? Because now she done started getting into these boys now, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and her first boyfriend, you know what I'm saying, she was, you know, real young, and I went and got her. I said, okay, you like this boy? Okay, cool. So come on. Me and her and this boy went and sat down at the park.
Right on.
Yeah, that part.
That part.
Yeah, I went and sat down at the park, went and talked to him because I want to get this chemistry. Y'all like each other. Well, this your boyfriend. Let me see him. Let me meet him. Let me talk to him.
I'm still going through that.
Yeah.
Right now.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Mine is 16. I'm still going through.
Oh, man, yeah. So,
and guess what? We sat at the park.
Yeah, sit at the park. Because I believe, you know what I'm saying, this young man, I want to look him in his face, look him in his eyes. And if he can hold a conversation with me, you might can get somewhere. If you can look me in your eyes instead of looking away and pulling up to my house and don't want to come up to the door and just no, we don't do that blowing and she come out. No, we don't do that.
No,
we don't
absolutely
do that.
not. No.
Yeah.
But you know, some people say we old fashioned. Mm-hmm. I say we respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't recall ever going to a young lady's house, even as a kid. When we rode bikes. We ride our bike up to the house. What we do? Knock on the door and say, "Hey, Miss Lupo, so how you doing? Is such and such available? And can they come out and play? We gonna ask permission." And tell what we're doing.
Yeah.
We want to come out. Can she come out and ride the bike?
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's what we want to do. And
play football.
We want to do whatever. Yeah. If we gonna go down to the tennis court and just run around and play wall ball or whatever we were playing at the time, we gonna say that.
That's right.
You know.
With Ken, you know, Ken always gonna navigate us back to the, you know what I'm saying, back to the core value topic and all. So just looking at what you gentlemen are saying right now, when it comes down to how we deal with our relationships and repair them, man, listening to you men right now says, man, there was a lot of observation going on.
Yes.
Right? There's a lot of consideration going on to the relationships that have value to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Because once you get to talking about the daughters, but everybody, so how did you feel about, everybody kind of take a quick breath. Think about what they want to say about their own baby. Because, you know, first of all, if she hears, she going to chop you up if you say the wrong stuff. Let's go ahead and get that understood.
Right.
She going to gun you down. But, you know, it's a very personal thing for a man to share about his daughter.
Exactly.
Right?
Now, them boys, they something different.
I mean,
they are.
They musty.
Yeah.
They musty. They don't do whatever they want to do.
Whatever they exactly.
Yeah, you know, they musty.
When it came to my daughters, I mean, and I'm that way to this day. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, my father, he used to tell me all the time. He would say, "Chris, I don't have a handbook on being a dad."
Yeah.
He said, I'm just going to do the best I can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I tell them. I'm not right all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not right a lot of times.
A lot of people say it, though.
Amen.
Nah, I ain't. Whenever but when I speak to them, I know I'm right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to give them any advice that has not been proven
Say
first.
Say it.
Experience.
Before I say it.
No, say it. That's real.
You understand what I'm
Of
saying?
course.
So when I talk to them,
Yes, sir.
and I'm telling them this is what it is,
Yeah.
I'm giving them that bridge over the pothole.
Right? So it's a lot of times that when we, for me, I'll say for me, because I don't want to put anybody else in this. When I talk in different arenas, I'm doing the best I can to get it right, and sometimes I'm guessing.
Okay.
But when I talk to these kids,
It's right.
I know I'm right.
I know
I'm right.
It's tested.
You cannot go against me
Yes, sir.
because I know I'm giving you experience
Yeah.
that I've already experienced.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, listen.
Right.
You know, my daughter came to me and Danielle, she for whatever reason, my children, except for my young one, that one there, she out there. She gonna introduce me to everybody. She don't have that. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
If she meet him on the side of the street, she go, you need to come meet my dad.
Yeah.
And I love that
Yeah.
about her, right? But my oldest daughters,
Yeah.
they kind of like, let me, because I know what my father's going to expect.
Yeah.
So let me check you out first.
Be the filter.
Before I introduce you. Now, my daughter Danielle had a whole full-fledged relationship.
Yeah.
Her mother told me about it.
Yeah.
Oh, he's this, he's that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I never met
Ready.
him. And my daughter pretty well told me, Daddy, because I knew I wasn't going to be with him.
Right.
The time that I was with him, yeah, okay. But I knew that wasn't the man for me. And so I was good with that. When she finally set me down, the very first boyfriend that I ever met from her, she told me, she said, Dad, I said, yeah. She said, this is him. I'm okay. How you doing, man? He shook my hand. Very respectful young man. She said, but Dad, we are having a family.
Hey, now.
That was the first and only person I've ever met from my daughter Danielle, ever. And she said, we're having a family. So I looked at her and I said, you sure? And she said, yes. I looked at him, I shook his hand. I said, well, let me give you this. I've been through this type, on this side of the family. I know how they gonna treat you.
Yeah.
I know what you finna go through, my man.
Yeah.
So let me tell you what it is. If there's anything that I can do to help you, I'll do it because it's gonna help you and my granddaughter.
Right.
Whether he knows it or not. If that man calls me to this day and he needs me, I'm going to be there.
Right.
Because,
Support.
Yes, I'm going to, because to support him is also to support my granddaughter and my daughter.
Right.
You know? And so I understand that. My oldest daughter, she is 31 years old right now, y'all. She's never introduced me to any man that she's ever been interested in. And then some people say, you know, oh, because, you know, so me and Danielle, we talked about it. Mm-hmm. And I said, Danielle, what kind of man do you want? She said, Dad, I want a man that I don't have to call you. I said, good luck. Good luck. Because there's a lot of young men that didn't have the opportunity, guidance, and things that I have,
Right.
or the talent.
Right.
I can fix almost anything. I can build anything I want. And there's so many things that I can do, and my daughter is aware of it. When she said, Dad, I want a man that I don't have to call you.
Yeah, so help me with that, because, I mean, I can see that two different ways. So unpack that for me. What does she mean by that?
Anything that my children are interested in doing, and when I say interested, just tell me you have an interest, and I'm there. Okay? If their cars break down,
got it,
and they pick up that phone, and they call me and say, Dad, this is happening, I'm explaining in detail.
Perfect.
My daughter Danielle came to me and said, Dad, I'm creating a gym in my garage.
Yeah.
I said, really? She said, yeah. I said, okay, let's do it. Now, she's already painted pink and doing all that, but I have equipment already ready for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I have mirrors already going to be put on the wall. I already know what she wants, and things are in place for it that it's going to happen. All she had to do is give me the idea. This is what I want to do, and I'm full supportive of it. And so when she made that statement, Aaron, I think what she was saying is, I want somebody just as supportive in so many different ways as you.
She want to marry her dad.
Somebody that's going to see things through to completion.
Wait a minute, hold on, Chris. Chris
And that's what I think a lot of doctors.
That's
I have
solid.
a question for y'all. You're saying that you...
Okay, before you get to that question, before you get to that question, can you let my my viewers know where we could be reached at on our social
You
media?
can reach us at www.rebuildingfuturespodcast.com. You can also reach us at Rebuilding Futures Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can listen to the podcast anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Awesome.
The question I have for y'all is, how does someone that's trying to reintegrate into society deal with the rejection and negativity that you're going to receive from some of your loved ones when trying to rebuild those relationships? How do you deal with the negativity of it?
Okay, we're going to have to do this in order. Elrich Travillion, you're going to have to start this one. Mr. Shankle going to be the middle. We going to leave the closing right there to Aaron. So this one here, this one's loaded.
Okay.
Go ahead.
One more time,
How do you
Ken,
deal
ask
with
that question.
negativity, the things that you didn't expect that you get from people when you're trying to rebuild relationships?
Well, like I said earlier, rebuilding, you basically want to just be you, be consistent, persistent, and consistent, and it will come. Some things you just cannot dwell on, because that's really going to be a two-sided. Because if you try to be something that you're not, it's going to show. So, and just communicating. I believe communicating, and when I say communicating, some physical communication, not text messages, not phone calls, and sitting down and talking, and I think that'll help out a whole lot.
Okay, Chris?
Negativity from your loved ones when trying to rebuild relationships after incarceration, I didn't have any. That's the reason why I tell y'all in so many different ways that I was blessed. Even though I may not have the best relationships with their mothers or whatever the case may be, I literally did not receive anything negative from anyone that I loved. The negative came from so many others that I enjoyed being around. Not necessarily I loved them, I just enjoyed being around them. And what I also noticed is the negative came from people after incarceration, of course, people that I would meet, and they would say, did you hear about this individual? And I'm sitting there and they say, oh, they just found out he's a convicted felon.
Yeah.
And I'm having a conversation with them and I'm a convicted felon. And I would look and say, you know, and I wouldn't own up to being a convicted felon.
Yes, sir.
I would just
Yes, sir.
kind of, I wouldn't necessarily agree. I just kind of, They said that brother is a convicted felon. It's like, yeah, wonder what his crime was. Doesn't matter what his crime was. Once you're convicted, you're convicted.
That's it.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Well, there were certain times, y'all, that I went to that individual and I said, hey, man, don't give up. I'm in the same situation. I just slipped through the cracks, my brother. Just don't give up. And I'm sure those words inspired someone.
Yeah.
Okay. But as far as loved ones, man, when I came home, they proved to me that love was real.
Yeah.
Everyone that I assumed I loved proved to me love is real. You know, and in my time of incarceration, I lost my grandmother. My grandmother was like, man, when she see me, she used to hug me and say, Mama love you so hard. And I'm like, you know, I didn't know what that meant, but I understand when you know somebody even is alive, and love is so powerful that your heart hurts if you ever even think that something's wrong with them
Yeah.
or anything like that. I understood that now.
Yeah.
You know, because I look at my children the same way. I used to, you know, my father would whoop me and say, boy, it's hurt me just as much as it hurt you. And no, it don't.
Yeah.
I get 100%.
Can't believe it in the moment.
I guarantee you not hurting the way I'm hurting right
At
now.
all.
You know what I'm saying? But what I couldn't understand was because he had to chastise me,
Yeah.
he was feeling different things inside of him.
Yeah.
Did I fail my son? Did I hurt?
Yes,
what
sir.
did I do?
Yes, sir.
And that
Yes, sir.
was hurting him
Yes, sir.
because he felt he was shortchanging me somewhere in life.
Yes, sir.
And that's why he had to chastise me.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter was, now I understand. When I have to get on my daughter, well, my youngest daughter, when I have to get on her, I understand. I actually gave her a whooping. She 15 years old. Everybody like, oh, you know.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yes, I did. Absolutely. Sure did. And she's 15 years old. And she looked at me, and you know what she said to me? Instead of, you know, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. She said, Daddy, I'm sorry for hurting you like that.
Yeah.
Because she knows that it had to be severe for me to do that. But I'm not going to get into it. But she said, and that's why I love her to death. She looked at me and she realized, wait a minute. For me to make my father respond to me in this way, I had to really mess up.
Got it.
I guess I'm a punk then.
What you mean?
I'm a punk.
What you mean, brother?
I never could whoop my dog.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, see, yeah.
I would go in the room. Hey man, I never could.
You never with your daughters
at all.
I look.
Never
We would go in the room.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We would go.
So what? Okay, hold on now.
everybody.
So, you know, this is a touchy subject.
Hey,
so what's the
you said
difference between
15?
you talking about whooping, you talking about popping,
No,
All
no,
of that.
down
no,
here,
sir.
side? You
All of that.
never done anything.
None of that.
Never, just
None
talk
of
Nothing.
only.
Talking. That's it.
Talk. That's
No,
it.
sir.
Hold on, talk or turn her over to mama.
Say, man, her
Do
mama.
mama whoop her?
Yeah, no, mama. Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? That's a safety net right there.
No.
You know what? I've never touched my daughter.
Never.
However, I would turn her ass over to her mama in a minute.
no.
You know who
No,
gonna
no.
wear I? You know, I mean, come on,
I
now.
understand.
No.
Listen,
It's
I
the same
had to do it.
thing.
No, you gotta let me explain.
That's the same thing.
No, it's not. Let me explain. And I'm gonna show you why it's not.
Yeah.
Because we weren't in the same household.
Okay, so listen.
What that
it's
mean?
It's people. Hold on now. In TDCJ, right? In TDCJ,
Go ahead.
There are people.
Yes.
Who legally bring people to the end of their life, but will never be charged with murder. Do you hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay, now, just because you don't whoop her, when you turn her over to be chastised by a mother, you just the same. Ain't no
I
different.
never did that. I never did that.
What did you do?
That's what y'all won't let me talk. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
We trying. We just want to craft our own story.
Because I'm
first.
different. I promise you this.
We wanna
I'm
get it
different.
out first.
Her mama used to call me. Your daughter around here acting up. Your daughter
Okay.
around here acting up. See, one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to go in another man's house and run another man's house. I cannot run two houses.
Okay.
And when I would go around there to whoop her because she'd been bad, I would take her in the room. I would literally take my daughter in the room and sit down and look, you know I'm supposed to be back here whooping you.
So just holler.
Yeah. So now when we leave this room, when we leave this room,
Just act like it.
act like I whooped you.
No, you didn't.
Shit.
No, you didn't.
Shit.
But say I'm gonna win
Look,
this girl one
okay.
way or another.
Look, because here's the deal. And when she did things wrong, her mama would call me, you need to come around here and whoop your girl. I would go around there and I let her know, hey, you wrong. You did. Because she didn't do it in my presence. And then she had a stepdad. He didn't whoop because he loved her just as much as I did. So he wasn't going to whoop. She'll be all right. What my daughter had it good.
I understand.
Now her mama, oh shit, I'm pretty sure her mama whooped the shit out of her.
Okay, well, let me
But
tell you
hold
what my
on,
story-
because we got.
But at 15?
Oh, Ken.
But at 15?
Do it because Ken, I have to speak this out, Ken, because I'm the only father in this whole panel that whooped his daughter.
Who was 15?
Well, you know you're not. No, you ain't. You ain't.
So,
At 15?
listen to me.
No.
Danielle she messed up when she was in school. And her mama would call me and say, Danielle done messed up, right? Mm-hmm. And I say, I'm on my way. Well, it'd be about 3 days later.
Okay,
you know what
now,
I'm saying?
come on now.
Because I can't whoop her when I'm mad. So I get over there, and Danielle, I say, Danielle, get up. she said, Daddy, I said, yeah, how many licks I'm gonna get?
She already know she finna get.
She already know. So she say, well, I said, I'm gonna give you 10. Do y'all know my daughter count them off? I hear the boom. That's one. Daddy, that's one. She fall down. Oh, that is one. That's one right there. Hey, man, I'm telling y'all. And Raven, I never forget it, man. I'm going to share this with y'all. This is hilarious, okay? my daughter, the only time I've ever whooped Raven, she's my oldest. She's 31 now. I had a beeper.
Okay.
And I used to always let my daughter play with my beeper. Go ahead. Because, back then, you can let your daughter play with your beeper. There's nothing provocative going to come over a beeper. You know?
Right.
So I'm letting my daughter play with my beeper. And then my nephew come running downstairs and he hollering. And I'm like, what is going on, And then my niece come right behind him and she said, Uncle Chris, Raven just kicked Chris in the head. And I said, what? Because that's just so outside of her character, right? That's not her. I'm like, wait a minute. I run upstairs and I look at her and she's holding my beeper and the battery's out and the cover of the beeper is in her other hand. And I said, did you kick Chris? And she said, yes. And I said, I'm finna whoop your butt. And she looked at me and she said, Daddy, no. And I'm like, okay, but I had to because everybody in the house is crying. I'm like, what? So I gave her a whooping. And then every time I whoop my kids, y'all, I go and get them ice cream or something like that.
Well, you ain't whooping.
Yes, I did.
Well, see, that's what great grandma used to do.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
He learned
exactly.
something.
But let me tell you the reason why. Raven dropped my beeper.
Okay.
And my nephew, my sister's son, Chris, said, ooh, I'm going to tell Uncle Chris. And Raven stood up and said, no, you not. And so she turned around and kicked him in the head, like, no, you're not finna tell my daddy I done dropped this beeper, And so it was funny because we laugh about it now. She's 31 years old, and I have never in life had to whoop her again. Mm-hmm. She just...
But she was 15.
She was at that time, I think she was like 7.
So what's this daughter you don't...
that's Cameron.
Just
yes, my youngest daughter. Yes, sir. Yes, she's 16 now. So let's put it to it. That was last year, brother.
So yes, hopefully that's the last whooping.
This is what I explained to her yesterday.
She can still get it, huh?
She can still get it.
Come on now.
It all depends. Let me tell y'all something. And if you have a daughter and you listening to this podcast, your number one duty in life is to make sure that you lead your daughter where she can always respect herself.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
No matter what you tell her, at the end of the day, make sure your daughter respects herself.
Absolutely.
Right. And so
I agree.
Once I'm trying to instill that, I think I did a pretty good job. Now, let me tell y'all once again, this is a unique dynamics going on here. I have great mothers of my children.
We all do.
So let me ask y'all something.
What's that?
So when I was gone, especially with my son, man, not only was his mother good, but she was in a relationship with a man ever since he was a little bitty baby boy.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so I went away and they stayed together, and he raised my son.
Right.
So we got a big blended family. Like, we all love each other. Like, so I can go over there for the holidays.
I like that.
Christmas, Thanksgiving, not just eat the meal, but spend the night, wake up with all. So he got brothers and sisters that don't have nothing to do with me from his mama, right? From his mom and his stepdaddy.
Right.
But, holidays, birthdays and stuff come around. We gonna all exchange gifts. We gonna do all that, right? Because it's like one big family. How y'all feel about knowing that there's another man in the house providing for your children? How do you swallow that? How you stomach that? Are y'all all right with that?
No.
I got it right now.
I got it because I've been that guy. Okay. So I've
okay. Oh,
which one?
I am that guy.
Ken is the provider of a child that is not his biological children.
When you say it's
let's
blessed,
talk.
I'm saying it. Not to put myself out there, but I'm saying it is good when you can have someone that comes in, loves your child just like it's their child, and then you take care of them. And as you're taking care of them, you don't mind the person coming back and having that relationship.
So you saying you the stepdad?
No, hell no.
Yeah.
I'm not the stepdad.
Right.
I'm the biological
dad,
father.
but it's another man taking care of your child.
Not helping, doing it.
Doing it. Okay, well,
helping would be if I was actually there.
Okay, you saying while you're away. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm going to give credit where credit's due. I'm talking about a man that's actually stepped in and said, hey, this is my son.
Yeah, that was my position with my oldest daughter. I call her my oldest daughter because I've had her since she was 3. And then my middle son, I met his mom when he was 1. And so I had to go in, do all of the same woman. I had to go in and do all of the jobs, but also be okay with the dads coming back into their lives. I mean, it was a struggle at one point because I felt like I had taken care of her. I'd raised my daughter. And I remember when her dad showed up at her college graduation, you talking about having to grow. I had to grow up in a split second because I went from elementary to junior high to high school, and we got her graduating. And you're going to sit here on this stage with me like you did my job, like you did the job. And I had to grow up because that was her dad. I am her dad, and we had to make a role where she has 2 fathers. None is less than the other, but it was a hard thing to do.
It works.
Can I give some flowers in here?
Come on now.
All right.
Roses.
Roses?
Yeah, give roses. I like roses.
All right. Anybody listening in this podcast, Elrich Travillion likes roses. So if you want to send him some, we have it right over.
We're going there, really?
www.erictravillion.receiveroses.com.
Hey, man.
Okay. Now listen, hopefully this can be heard by several people, and y'all may have to understand this with me. I don't like giving roses to too many people.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But me and Raven's mother ended our relationship when Raven was very young. The man that she is married to now was the next person in line, of course, and she married him, and they raised Raven. Okay. Marcus is one of the most supportive men that I know. And what I mean by that is I didn't know. Y'all have to understand this. I had a chip on my shoulder just like everyone else. When I picked up my daughter and she called me dad, that's all I thought about.
Yeah.
I've never been, I guess you could say, jealous or I've never had any type of animosity towards any men that has ever dealt with my kid's mother.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
None at all, unless they did something to me.
Right.
Marcus was so supportive of Raven. Now that she is a grown woman, she shared me all the things that this man did. If she was interested in it, he was there. He made sure that she had everything she needed, things of that nature. It is a very humbling experience for a man to recognize, well, I wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Now, y'all have to understand this. Just because I wasn't in the streets don't mean I wasn't in the streets. Okay?
Right.
So because I did a lot of things that I wasn't supposed to do, I didn't want my children to know.
Yeah.
And I had girls. Okay. Well, then let's go to my son. Technically, the man that was with his mother spent a lot more time with my son than I did. Of course, they lived in the same house. He provided for him. His name is Cleve. I used to have an issue with him, like, this dude, blah, 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 only because at that time, my resource of knowledge came from his mother.
Okay.
So she was saying different things that was going on only in their relationship.
So you really don't know Cleve.
And I really didn't know Cleve. So
it's your perception of him.
My perception of him was it came through Zion's mother.
Right. She painted that picture.
Exactly. So I was telling Zion one time, I'm like, yeah, man, this dude. And Zion looked at me and Zion said, Dad, Cleve is not a bad man. Now, when I heard it from my son, it hit different.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Because my son, he don't have these emotions with him, and he's not in love with him, and He just see how this man is treating him.
That's right.
And whenever he was old enough to tell me, Daddy, everything that you think is bad with him, he's that good too.
Okay.
I said, well, you know what? Okay, whoa, let me back up. That's when I realized, you know what, man? These guys should be commended. They should be respected. And they should be recognized
right.
as being the fathers of our children.
Right.
Our children's, if you really think about it, they're more blessed than the majority of the children. There are children out there that don't even have a dad. Yeah. Our children can say, got two. We got two dads. And I can go to those dads and ask for assistance, advice, receive things from them. And that's a blessing that can't nobody give them but what they've already received. They've had.
Okay, wait a minute, hold on. We run out of time. And I really want.
But let me get this in right, Ken, because but I want to get this in. I got to.
You must.
Yeah, because see, now me, I was different. I had my child young. I believe I was 13. Okay, so me and my daughter, we're about 12 or 13 years apart. You see what I'm saying? So, and her mother, her and her mother's, we 13, 14 years apart. So she got into a relationship with a guy, and they had kids. But the thing about these guys that she get into a relationship that's different than you guys is that I knew these guys. We all from this, and that's the benefit of coming from a country town. Y'all call me country.
Where you from?
Bogalusa, Louisiana. So,
never heard of it.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, we on the map, baby. We on the map, and we hold strong, baby. When we hold strong, but I never felt bad. I never had a bad relationship with any of my baby mother's friends. Not saying she had a whole lot of them, but her baby fathers. We had a relationship. Because she chose, for her kids, she chose good guys.
Okay.
She chose, I have to say, she chose good fathers. Okay. And we communicated. And just as well as she had kids for other men that wasn't mine, I didn't treat them no different. And I'm still not going to treat them no different to this day. I never had animosity between any of her baby dads. And she's about to get married now to a guy right now that I have a lot of respect to this day. Real good guy. And I have to give the credit to her because she chose, not saying I wasn't a good guy. She just chose, she was blessed to have good guys that she chose from to breed with and to have around her kids.
This man said breed with.
Well, I guess that's the wrong word to breed.
From the country.
We are definitely.
It's not like they're raising.
We're not doing no breeding.
Like they're raising pigs.
Yeah. But once again, and then now on top of that, now I am married, so I do have a wife.
Okay.
Right.
So I cannot leave my wife out.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? We talking about. I know we talking about. Our kids being raised in the house with their other fathers, but I put my foot down in my house and made sure that my boys wasn't going nowhere. One time my wife was finna leave me. She was on one side of the room packing her clothes, and I was on the other side of the room packing my clothes, and she said, "Where you going?" I said, "Wherever you going, cause child support is on." I ain't finna pay no child support. I ain't finna pay no child support.
Ken, with that, could you take us out of here, please?
We got to get to that last question for Aaron. Aaron.
What's up, Ken?
Aaron, that's the last one.
What happened,
brother? Remember, you got to close
How do you
this
deal
out.
with rejection and negativity from loved ones when building relationships after incarceration?
Come on.
Man, I say this is the deal. How do I deal with rejection from loved ones after coming home from, extended period of incarceration? Man, I deal with it by not dealing with it at all, right? I'm going to pay no mind to rejection, because if I put my mind on rejection, then I'm going to get focused on the negative things. When I came home from incarceration, I said one thing I'm not going to do is focus on never going back to prison. You know why? Because if I put my mind on never going back to prison, the last word of that statement is going to be a focal point, right? Never go back to prison. So every time I think about what I'm trying to do with my life, it's going to surround the word prison, prison, prison. I'm not going to focus on that. I'm not going to focus on negativity coming from other people. I'm going to pay no mind to it at all, right? Because by not minding the negativity that comes from people, what I can do then is put my mind on things that are better. I can put my mind on focusing on building, right? Either I can focus on the things that are being torn down or the things that are being built up. I'm going to focus on what's being built up. If that's only coming from me right now, I have to be okay with that. Right? The reason I say I have to be okay with that is this. I'm the one who removed myself from people's lives and caused a massive hole in them. People ask me, so do you ever think about how long you were gone or feel the effects of prison on you now that you've been home for a while? I said, only when I look at my kids. Only when I look at my kids, because when I look at them, I can see the hollow spots in people that would not be there had I been present. Doesn't mean that they're not complete in their own way. I have hollow spots in me because my mother grew up with the absence of her own father, who committed suicide in the basement of their family home. Right? There's a hole in me that I can't really identify. It just comes out in everything that I am. It's made manifest in who I am because of how my mother raised me. So my children have holes in them because of my absence, because of how they were raised, knowing that I'm not there. And when I look at them, I can see it. I'm not going to focus on them having anything negative in their life when it comes to communication and relationship building with me. I'm going to focus on what's possible. You know, if there's something that I can't do, I'm just going to focus on the fact that God can. I know how that goes. I talked about it in other podcasts, in other episodes. As soon as I say God, people are going to turn their mind away from it. Man, listen, this is the deal. I yield myself to a higher power. You know,
we all do.
Yeah. I mean, I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. I believe he died for my sins. I believe all of that. And so, you know, I believe that through God, anything is possible.
Hey, now.
I'll tell you this. I went to Africa. Right. I'm going to share something with y'all, man. I went to Africa. Had I not seen this for myself, I wouldn't believe it if another man told me. I really don't expect anybody to believe it right now, and I'm okay with that. Had I not seen it for myself, I would not believe it. We were in Nigeria. Really good friend of mine is a pastor out in Houston. In his spiritual lineage, they are directly connected to Africa, right? The people that sowed into him and poured into him spiritually just so happened to hail from Nigeria, from Lagos. And so I was with a friend of mine, and I went to go see his spiritual father, and we saw his spiritual father's father. When we went there, we went to a well on the hillside, mountainside in Africa. And when we got to the well, it's like holy water for these people. The clouds are moving. I'm talking about it's black outside, it's thundering outside, clouds hang over us, and it starts to rain as soon as we get to the well. So the spiritual grandfather, to use a short explanation, he snapped his finger, pointed to the sky, and said, I command you to stop rain in the name of Jesus. Brother, let me tell you something. If it would have happened a minute later, I wouldn't have believed it. It's just weather. If it would have happened 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, 30 seconds later, I wouldn't have believed it. But as soon as he snapped his finger, looked to the sky, completed his statement, the rain evaporated. Modern miracles are always here. You know, if you are sown into the Spirit through submission and you're completely yielded and you give yourself over to something that's higher than you, man, there's so much power in that. So I'm going to focus on what's available. I'm going to focus on what we have, and I'm not going to focus on anything that's negative, because negative influence is only there to do one thing, take you off the pathway to success. I'm going to focus on what we can do, and that's it. Man, I say this. First of all, every opportunity to come here and to share what we have and to be able to learn from and listen to these men is an absolute blessing. This week, we just want to give you an opportunity to hear what we had to say about coming home and the challenges of relationship building and what it takes to work on those things. What I learned today as a takeaway from me is that most people, just like myself, even though we spend a lot of time communicating, also spend a lot of time considering.
Instagram, at
man, to hear
Rebuilding
men
Futures
talk about
Podcast
the effects
as
that
well.
going through
In
life with
closing,
their children
Aaron,
and the
you wanna take us
challenges
out?
that come with that had on them, it was reassuring to me that there's nothing new under the sun. I'm thankful that there are other people in this world that are willing to share their story. And if you get anything from these stories that we share, they're not made up. Know that they're all authentic, and we're doing the best we can to just put a voice out there so that someone can grab a hold of that rope and say, they sound just like me. I know that I'm just like them. And if that's you, if you're that person, grab a hold of it, man, because we all need a little bit of hope. I don't want to disclude the women out there as well. If you're incarcerated and you can hear this message, I'm telling you right now, there's hope for you as well. Relationship building comes in all forms, and I just want you guys to be encouraged that as long as you're pressing towards it, you will achieve what you set out to achieve. Thank you, and God bless.